houses, and upon the cattle, and upon all the meager people that in the midst of her, and they shall become as one. The sword is upon her treasure, and they shall be well.
All right, so we can see that all of these are things that will be happening. So, true. Question 13. After his resurrection, the Lord Jesus Christ appeared to a woman first. True or false?
True.
All right, so we go to the Gospel of John 20, 14 to 16.
First John.
No, the Gospel of John.
First John.
No, just John.
Oh, John. Okay.
20, 14 to 16.
John 20, 14 to 16. And when she heard that said, she turned herself back and saw Jesus standing, and knew not that it was Jesus. Jesus said unto her, Woman, why weepest thou? Whom seekest thou? She, supposing him to be the gardener, saying unto him, Sir, if thou hast found him, and tell me where thou hast laid him, I will take away. Jesus said unto her, Mary. She turned herself and said unto him, Rabbina, which is to say, Master.
All right, so we can see that that is a woman, and that was Mary Magdalene, and she is the one, of whom it's said that, she had an evil spirit, cast out of her. And then after that, she decided to dedicate her life to serving the Lord, and was very, very much instrumental in, being a dedicated Christian to the Lord. All right, true. Question 14. The Lord Jesus Christ's first miracle was turning water into wine. True or false?
True.
All right, so after we answer this, I will provide some other historical, I wouldn't say fact, but some information which I also know. So in John, same Gospel of John, I'll read that. John chapter 2, verses 3 to 4, and then verse, let me see if I just read it. Okay, I'll just start from verse 1. So, all right, John chapter 2, verses 1 to 4, and then I'll jump to 9. And the third day, there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. And both Jesus was called and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus said unto him, They have no wine. Jesus said unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. Then going to verse 9. And when the ruler of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and knew not whence it was, but the servants which drew the water knew, the governor of the feast, which means the master of ceremony, called the bridegroom, and said unto him, Every man at the beginning doth set forth good wine, and when men have well drunk, then that which is worse, which means imitation or cheap wine, is brought. But thou hast kept the good wine until now. So that is the record of God's word. And the other historical thing that I've also heard is that reading from other, uh, you know, books, and which have they said that when the Lord Jesus Christ was a baby, you know, when he was a baby, and his mother gave him a bath. In those days, I think they would put him in the when he was infant, rather, in a bowl, as we've all done in the past. We always have a big, you know, like a boat or something, like a small boat where we would, take a shower in, and not and keep the water. So, which means they put just like a tub, but it was a portable little one. And after the baby Jesus had been washed and all of that, the water, from what I say, it's not. I don't know if it is true, but they said the water was not thrown away. The water was actually, dispensed to people who were sick, and so anyone whose body touched the water was healed at that time. And so that is something I don't know. It's something. It's in one of the books. I think they said it. What is it? The lost book of the Bible and the forgotten book of it, and something like that. But that's something. But we'll just stick with what the Bible is saying, because the Bible is a canon. That's the original word that we've been told. So maybe this is the official, So what is happening here is that he's the official. Of course, he did other things, because while he was young, we know that, he surprised the high priest, the Pharisees, and when he was 12 years old, and what he said, all those things he did and said, and it's not accounted for, because we also know from the last book, the last chapter of this book in John, the Gospel of John, it says that there are so many things that the Lord Jesus Christ did that if it had to be written out, it will not contain the whole, I will read that passage so that we can also testify to what the Word of God says. In Gospel of John 21, it says, I'll read 21, 24, and 25 so that we can see, hear what he said. He said, "This is the disciple which testified of these things and wrote these things. And we know that his testimony is true," which means he's talking about himself, but he didn't want to put his name. That means the gospel, the Apostle John. So he says he's just writing, without letting people know that he's talking about himself. Then verse 26, he says, "And there are also many other things which Jesus did, the which, if they should be written, the world itself could not contain the books that should be written." Amen. So that is what he wrote. But let us continue. All right. So, yes, he did. True truth. Question 15. Timothy came from a Christian family. True or false?
True.
All right. 2 Timothy 1:5 says, when the Apostle Paul speaking, when I call to remembrance the unfeigned faith, which means, the open and, it was not a secret. It was very, very much available. Everybody knew it. When I call to remembrance the unfeigned faith that is in thee, which dwelleth first in thy grandmother Louis and thy mother Eunice, and I am persuaded that in thee also. So the Apostle Paul was confirming and testifying to the fact that Timothy, the young pastor, was so much instructed by his grandmother and his mother, because both of them were Christian. They were all Christian. They had all grown up in the faith of the Lord Jesus Christ, and so they brought up their son and grandson in a very Christian and godly way. And that's why we also should remember that when we are bringing our children up, we have to use all the gospel, all the message that comes from God, so that they will be brought up in the training and admonition of the Lord, so that they will also grow up with that fact But when they grow up with all those worldly things, worldly agenda in them, then they tend to, you know, well, we know. So may the Lord help us. All right. So let's see. Should we continue? Postpone it to next time. Let's see. Okay. I think we'll end it here, and next time we will, by God's grace, continue. So we're stopping here. Let me see. We have up to how many? 22. All right. So we can, yeah, we can finish it next time.